Hi, my crew and I would like to present MRFS 8, which is the operating segment, and MRFS 124 of interview recruitment. My name is FARAH BINTI FAUZI for AC2204D and ROSLI and time. Let's start with company background. For your information, Tdm Berhad incorporated in 1965. This company is one of Syariah compliant security listed in Bursa Malaysia Security Berhad under the plantation sector in 1970. This company also has put into leading player in the oil, palm plantation and healthcare sector. Let's move to the next topic, which is the mission and mission of Tdm Berhad. The mission of this company is to be modern corporate citizen in Terengganu. They want to create sustainable value for their shareholders and also want to improve the well-being of their stakeholders by protecting the environment. Last but not least is deliver quality product and services that are almost expectation for their customer. However, their vision is to be an iconic corporation in the East Coast that gets sustainable value for shareholders. The core value for Tdm Berhad is good governance, teamwork, people-centric, innovative and environmentally friendly. Tdm has two types of segments, plantation and healthcare. Tdm Plantation is leading producer of palm oil with its primary operation center and based in Terengganu, Malaysia, and Tdm also a premier producer of certified sustainable palm oil as known as CSPO. However, for the healthcare division, kumpulan medik Tdm Berhad as known as KMI Healthcare own 5 companies, specialists, hospitals that provide quality and affordable secondary healthcare service to community. There are now a few factors to consider having a segment reporting. This information provided to the board of the director and responsibility of manager for the activity. Last but not least, the nature of business activity for each company. Let me introduce you to the chairman of board of directors, as known as Yang Berhad Mulia, Tengku Seri Vijaya Raja Datuk Tengku FAR570 Tengku Abdul Jalil. He is the head of Tdm Berhad. Next is Najman Kamarudin, who is executive director of the management team for Tdm Berhad. Both of them are managing director or chief executive officer who are responsible for allocating resources and assessing performance of the operating segment.
Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. My name is AIMI SAHIRA from AC2204D. Today, I am going to explore together with you the management approach for the company Tdm Berhad. There is 4 factors to consider to have a segment reporting. First is the nature of the product or services. Tdm Berhad's nature is on both of the product and services. The company major business segments are plantation, healthcare, investment, holding, and others continuing operations and discontinued operations. Moving on to the next nature of the production processes, the plantation segment is a segment which involves activities such as cultivation of oil palms, sale of fresh fruit bunches, and management of plantation operation services. Meanwhile, the healthcare segment which involves activities such as provision of healthcare, consultancy, and specialist medical center services. For the investment holding segment, involve group level corporate services and dormant companies.
Another factors to consider to have a segment reporting is the class of customer for the products or services. The type of customer for the product and services provided varies from customers to customers. From the plantation segment, the target customer depends on the satisfaction of the product produced to the customers. Meanwhile, for the healthcare and investment holding companies, the target customer depends on the satisfaction of the services provided to the customers. Next, the methods used to distribute. The method used by the company to distribute the products and services from customer to customer is dependent on the type of products and services rendered. The palm oil produced by the Tdm Berhad were distributed to the customers. For the healthcare, Tdm Berhad owns 5 community specialist hospitals that provide quality and affordable secondary healthcare services to the community. Moving on to the next part, we are going to focus on the type of segment for the Tdm Berhad. Operating segment may be a business or geographical segment. As for Tdm Berhad, the business segments comprise of plantation, healthcare, investment holding, continuing operation, and discontinued operation segments. For geographical segment comprises of kumpulan medik Tdm Berhad, KMI Healthcare. Last but not least, we're going to discuss on the management approach for the company is to identify the chief of decision making and its responsibility. The chief of decision making is a person whose function is to assess the performance of the various segments and decide on allocation of resources to the segments. That person can be the Chief Executive Officer, CEO, Chief Operating Officer, COO, Chief Financial Officer, CFO, or others. Based on the Tdm Berhad annual report, Mr. Badrul Abu Bakar, the company secretary, is the CODM of the company. This is seen clearly as the scope of responsibilities for the managing director includes overall responsibilities for the operating units, organizational effectiveness, and implementation of board's policies and decisions. The CODM of Tdm Berhad should identify the nature of business as both production and services. The CODM should identify the existence of managers responsible for the business activities. Therefore, for each operating segment, there will be a top management to manage each segment of business activities. The information gained by the CODM will be reported to the Board of Directors.
Next, the process to identify the reportable segment and non-reportable segment. In accordance to MFRS 8 segmental reporting, an entity shall present its own information on its reportable segment on the basis of the consolidated financial statement if it passed the quantity threshold test of 10% threshold and 75% test rule in order to identify the qualification of reportable operating segment. 10% threshold test consists of 3 tests, which are revenue basis, profit or loss basis, and total asset basis, in which it must meet 10% or more. Since Tdm Berhad is using profit or loss basis and measuring its operating segment, therefore 10% threshold test will be calculated based on its total reported profit or loss. According to the calculation, there are 4 reportable segments identified that consist of plantation 79.01%, healthcare 14.74%, investment holdings and others 74.26%, and continuing operation 20.98%. Meanwhile, discontinued operation 9.76% do not meet the requirement of 10% threshold test.
Next, for the 70% threshold test, the total external revenue attributable to the reportable segment must be at least 75% of the company's total revenue. If it failed to fulfill the requirement, we must add another segment even though it failed the 10% threshold criteria in order to meet the requirement of 75% threshold test. The calculation for Tdm Berhad's 75% threshold test is 318,708 divided by 320,025 and times with 100%, and it will get 99.59%. This shows that Tdm Berhad passed the test since the company has more than 70% of the threshold test. For the newly constructed segmental report, there are only 4 segments since investment holding did not achieve 10% threshold. So here, the investment holding is added to the healthcare and there will be a new total for each segment.
Hello, my name is NADIA from AC2204D. I would like to continue the presentation about advantages and disadvantages of segmental report. The first advantages is segmental reporting respect decentralized businesses. Segment reporting respect that many businesses that have multiple sectors are decentralized. A financial analysis does not praise or criticize the company itself, but remarks on the leadership of the sector company, as the financial analysis only looks at the sector and the sector heads. Next, improve context. Segment reporting allows stakeholders to get a better sense of the fluctuation that might affect overall profit. Segment reporting can help Tdm Berhad by showing where those earnings are coming from and can help stakeholders to determine if the earnings are sustainable. It can also help investors to understand better the businesses and its potential cash flow. However, there are certain disadvantages that needs to be highlighted. The limitation includes that it emphasizes on present. Segment reporting can place too much of a focus on short-term members. For example, if Tdm Berhad creates a segment that runs a significant deficit before the right people and infrastructure are in place, the losses incurred will be outweighed by the company's overall performance, which will give a negative impression on the financial statements. Next, data manipulation. The segmental reporting information can be manipulated as it may be reported through the view that management want the users to see. Therefore, the users of financial statement will get false idea of the performance of the company. The losers could be grouped with an unrelated profitable business unit to paint a better picture of performance to deceive the BOD, for example. So, next, let's move to our interim report session.
Now, we're going to jump into the part of interim report for this company. First, we're going to look into the basis of preparation of the interim report. For the preparation of the interim report, there was two methods, which is integral method and discrete method. Integral method is an interim report, which is a fraction of the annual report. The annual values need to turn with a fraction of reporting period. On the other method, which is discrete method, interim period is a separate period. The reports are prepared on a periodic level. For Tdm Berhad, the company prepared the interim report using discrete method. This is because the interim report is prepared in a separate period.
Hi, it's me again, FARAH, and I would like to explain to you about how accounting policy is in preparing the interim report. First is property, plant and equipment consumed as paid. All items of property are initially required at cost, except for vehicle plant. Next, capital asset of PPE items are to be reviewed for impairment. However, for the possession in PPE, a straight line basis over life is estimated useful life but exclude for land. Last but not least, for disposal should be recognized when disposal or when no future economic benefit. Another policy is an investment property known as IP. IP is initially measured at cost including transaction costs. It should be measured at fair value. However, any gain or loss must be included in SOBL. For IP, the recognition is at disposal or when the IP has no future value, benefit, and it should be reclassified to or from IP only when there is change in use.
Next, for the type of interim report prepared by the company. For Tdm Berhad, a condensed interim financial report was published. Since 30th June, the condensed interim report has been prepared quarterly, covering the month of April, May and June. It will be prepared for 4 quarters, each of which will end on 30th June, which is the end of the accounting period. The interim report contained a few specific items. Firstly, each of the headings and subtotal that were included in its most recent annual financial statement. Next, the selected explanatory notes required by the standards. Third, an entity should be present basic and diluted earning per shares in that separate statement if the entity presents the item of profit or loss in a separate statement. And lastly, the report should be prepared on a consolidated basis if the most recent annual financial statement was a consolidated statement. These are the financial statements that have been prepared by Tdm Berhad in its interim report. The report includes unaudited condensed consolidated statement of comprehensive income, unaudited condensed consolidated statement of financial position, unaudited condensed consolidated statement of changes in equity, unaudited condensed consolidated statement of cash flow, and the last one is unaudited condensed consolidated statement of profit or loss.
The current and comparative periods for each statement prepared by Terengganu Development Management Berhad Tdm Berhad according to FAR570 interim reporting will be measured from 1st January 2022 until 30th June 2022, equivalent to first interim of the half-yearly company's accounting period. For consolidated statement of financial position, current interim period is 6 months, which is from 1st January 2022 to 30th June 2022. Meanwhile, the comparative SOFP at the end of immediate preceding financial year also 6 months, which is 31st July 2021 until 31st December 2021. As for statement of profit or loss, current accounting period is for 6 months from 1st January 2022 to 30th June 2022. For comparative interim period is from 1st January 2021 until 30th June 2021. Moving on to consolidated statement of cash flow, the current cumulative period is for 6 months, which is from 1st January 2022 to 30th June 2022. Meanwhile, the comparative cumulative period is from 1st January 2021 to 30th June 2021. Lastly, as for consolidated statement of change in equity cumulative interim period also for 6 months from 1st January 2022 until 30th June 2022. Also, the comparative cumulative periods from 1st January 2021 ended 30th June 2021.
So, let's move forward to our adjustment and solutions. The first one is inventories. The cost of inventories as at 30 June 2022 is RM30,884. Meanwhile, the net realizable value of the inventory is 30,500,000 as at 30 June 2022. In determining the value of inventories, we need to choose the lower of cost and net realizable value. Okay, since the net realizable value is lower than the cost of inventory, which is RM30,500,000, so we need to choose the net realizable value amount to be recorded in the statement of financial position. So, the value of inventories as at 30 June 2022 should be RM30,500,000. Next, second adjustment is on share capital. The adjustment is on 1st September 2022. The company has issued 5 million units new ordinary share amounted to RM1 per unit to increase their financial. Okay, so before the adjustment we made, the amount of share capital as at 30 June 2022 is 359,445 ringgit, and after the issuance, the amount of share capital increased to 364,445 ringgit.
So this is our statement of financial position extract as 30 June 2022. Before the adjustment we made, our inventories are 33,884 and share capital are 359,445 ringgit. And after the adjustment we made, our inventories are 30,500 ringgit and the share capital are 364,445 ringgit.